beginning with the B-2. We're going to cover the B-2, the Horten 229, and the PAK FA planes that I just did. Okay, here are the pieces of the B-2. And one of the questions that came up on the forums was, how does the ventral pan go in? I thought I covered that in my other build video of the B-2, but apparently I did not. But this is the ventral pan piece for the B-2. So this is the pattern I made it, blew it up to 72 inches. This lower fuse piece is a score fold. You cut it to this point here and then score fold it here so that that comes down. And on the B-2, that looks like, turn the B-2 over here, the bottom looks like that. This is the ventral pan right here. So you bevel these two pieces that fold down, and you do it from the top side here, top side here up. Okay, do that again. All right, and you bevel this edge. You bevel this edge along here. You leave these square. That's a much better joint. What I like to do is start out with a piece of tape right here to hold that in, and then this piece of tape, and then I glue these hot glue these joints. I also have a little hot glue in there. But what that does, that creates this. You see it here. It creates this shape here, which is identical to your typical motor mount. In fact, this particular one is the one that I found on the RC Powers site. But anyway, now this particular build, because it's bigger, 72 inch as opposed to 59, this is actually made for originally for the 60 inch wide. So I had to put a piece of foam in there, solid first, and then glue that to it. While we're talking about the motor mount, the other thing I do at that point is I use these arrow shafts. I get them at Walmart. They're thin. You can see this one is broken when I hit one of the goalposts out there, the soccer field, for the wing. It cracked it. Anyway, but they're lightweight and they're large enough, stiff enough, and I put that on the top side of the wing and trim this KF airfoil back so that this basically becomes comes to the back edge of the KF airfoil, and then it also continues out, as you can see here on the B-2, continues out to the wing edge, and that gives us good stability with across here. It makes an A-frame, because I also put them down the edge of the wing too, all the way out. On the B-2 I put them all the way out. On the Horten I didn't. So anyway, that's the ventral pan. This piece goes here, but actually what you do is you put this piece on, it slides over, and then you bevel these edges, add this piece. You only really actually need to bevel one edge. You can bevel both. Anyway, put that on there, and that creates the curve that when you push this down, you push this piece down in it makes a gentle curve. So all that goes together. But what I found to do the best to do is before I start putting the wings together, I take the airfoil and I put them on there. Cut this back, of course, to accept the travel of or at least cut that edge back there and that part of it back to line up with my piece here. I go ahead and lay these down here and I Gorilla Glue them together. So I've got a stack of 3 pieces when it's all done. Get that KN4 airfoil. Anyway, well, there's the B-2. Next we have the Horten. This is my finished model of the Horten. As you can see, it has the same basic belly pan as the B-2. Anyway, so, and it goes together then, just like the B-2 bomber did. This is the same, basically the same size, width-wise and wingspan-wise as my original B-2. We'll set that over there for a second. And you here are the pieces. The nacelle, the upper fuse, the pan. I could use the longer one, didn't I? Yes, I used the longer one. This was the first one. Okay. End up putting a longer one in so that it goes pretty much nose to, or motor mount to nose. So, same thing. Cut to that point there, score fold here, that part bends down, you bevel, take your knife and bevel that edge on both sides, same way. And then that piece goes in there and that forms your motor mount. As you can see on this one, the motor mount is the same size as it, because this is the size I scaled to. That one I blew up, so I had to make adjustments as I went. Anyway, there we are. That's how that goes in. Now I don't have a KF airfoil because what I did, I just made marks here and here and brought it together that way. The notch, I don't think I labeled it, but the notch that you see here on the pattern is your center of gravity. So that is actually, if we measure that from, say, the tip of the nose back, for instance, that line is 11 inches back from the tip of the nose, your center of gravity. Or when you put these together, you've got that, you can just draw a line across there. This is the nacelle, and it's different from the other one in that it basically comes together, it's basically one piece, but there are three score fold lines, and then these pieces come together like that, and that's what creates these rather subdued aerodynamic nacelles on here. As you can see, I didn't cut the holes out for the engines. I just painted it black there, top and bottom, just to give the impression in the air that there is an engine intake, air intake there. It just seemed to me to actually make one. I'm not going to get good airflow back to the prop anyway, and it's just going to be a lot of drag. So I did it that way. That's my 5 easy piece solution. Just like the B-2, just like many of my 5 easy piece plans, this nacelle piece goes on like that. Tab comes up from the underside here, and then there's a forwardmost tab that goes in up here. And then of course this piece, you'll put it together. I have so many others, they look something like this. I think I have the other one. Okay. And then I've got this notched to accept a rod. As you can see, this is notched here, so a rod can go through. Now in this case I use a number 5. I got a number 5. Anyway, but a number 5 rod I used across here, I believe, not the bigger one. And then and you can use a number 5 on a B2, the 60-inch B2 as well. The 72 I wanted more strength, so I went with a larger diameter one. But you can see how this tab goes into the side of the fuse here. It will notch over the rod there. You may need to trim a little back of that, let that run long, so you can do as you wish. This point here should come up to here more or less. You can see these lines are the same length. So it goes together fairly easy. And this, of course, when it comes over, that fastens together here. Now, what I did on mine is cut this all apart and then beveled it. Beveled these joints, so it's just made a neater looking, smoother looking job. But you don't have to. You can put it together just like that if you want to. That's fine. I also marked on the plan the minimum depth here that you need, which is about 1 1/4 inches. Now, I don't fly it that way. I fly, as you can see, my vertical stabilizers are, my ventral vertical stabilizers are about 2 inches deep, almost 2 1/4 inches deep. Now, why do I fly it that way? I do because it's a bit more solid that way. I mean, you can fly it with the narrow ones. You can take it down to take an inch off of that and fly it, and it'll fly fine. Except it's a lot easier to break it when you're flying it. You can break it loose, and it takes a little bit longer for it to find its direction again, but it'll fly. I just prefer to have a bit more rail-like performance out of it, and I don't really notice the depth here of these things so much as it goes by. They kind of disappear to me. But if you want it, have it a little bit edgier, you can cut that down. I marked the same way, I think, on the B-2 too. That you could take it down to just to the 2%. Like I said, I run it a little bit higher. I run about 2.5 to 3% of the wingspan depth. So anyway, that's how the Horten 229 goes. This one is typical of both the 48-inch version as well as this is the 37 pattern for the 37-inch version, and they're very similar. You've got the nacelle. It pops on just like it does on the Horten, pretty much like it does on the Horten and the V2. Looks like this, notch to go over the wing. They just have a simple little piece here as opposed to having a bit more involved like I am on the Horten. But again, this is a fantasy aircraft. This is not a real airplane. I imagine it to be a 6th generation Sukhoi because they did the forward swept wing before. But there is no such thing. Just again, this is my imagination. But we have the same sort of thing. We have the score fold fuse that drops, the pan, we use a bevel here, glue that on each side to that. You can make this longer. You can affect the shape this by how long this triangular piece is. You can take it clear to the end here if you want. Just, you know, make your center line, just take it out how long you want to do it. This comes in here like this. If you want this to go further back and cover the motor more, just, you know, make yourself happy. Do it. That's how that goes on. Cut this loose, as I always do, and that goes on here like that. Because you have to cut it loose so you can get this nacelle piece in. It's that simple. That's the way it goes together. And you end up then with a plane that looks like this. This is the 37-inch. I call this one the PAK FA, the fighter version, whereas the other one, the larger version here, even though I got kind of more or less a fighter type canopy on it now, is considered more like, for me anyway, the bomber version. But they're basically the same plane, just one blown up. You can see one's bigger than the other one. Basically the same thing. But, they both fly great. Don't like I repaired this. I don't like the way that nose comes up like that. I much prefer the other one. So like I said, you may want to make that triangle longer or whatever to make that happen. Anyway, there you go. There's the Horten. There's the B-2. There's the PAK FA planes and how to put them together. Thanks for watching, and that's a wrap.